You know, our society has a lot of movies, games, books, TV series, and, well, just crime itself, just focused on the idea of a heist. In fact, a good example would be GTA, where you can do anything from a massive casino heist to petty robbery. And the news typically covers these major events as breaking news and things that should be revered as horrible, which of course they are. But we rarely ever cover the instance where these things go wrong, where somebody attempts to make off with some money, but fails. That's what we're going to do tonight.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet, cyberspace, set free. Hello, virtual reality.
Interactive appetite, searching for a website, a window to the world, got to get online.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
Hey, what's going on, geeks? Maxusthebeast is here, and welcome back to Maxusthebeast on the internet. Now, today we are taking a peek at another Fox News article, of all things, talking about Utah ATM robbery botched despite use of stolen heavy equipment to smash machine. Alright. So let's get into this. A group of thieves in Utah failed to make off with an ATM. They tried to steal the entire ATM early Saturday despite smashing the money machine to pieces with stolen heavy equipment, investigators said. The botched robbery unfolded at a Wells Fargo bank just after 4 a.m. in Hurricane, a city in southwestern Utah, police said in a news release. That looks like it's been hit by a hurricane. My lord. The suspects triggered several $1,000s in damage in their attempt to rip out the ATM using a stolen truck, a trailer, and heavy equipment, cops said. They did not elaborate on what heavy equipment exactly was. Pictures from the scene showing pieces of the ATM at the bank's drive-thru service strewn around the area along with panels from the overhang above. Oh my lord, look at that. Whoa. You know my little joke about it being hit by a hurricane? Yeah, that looks like storm damage. So these dudes like jury-rigged they jury-rigged a truck to an ATM machine, and apparently they somehow took out a piece of that with it. Interesting. Unable to remove the machine, the suspect sped away and crashed the truck in a short distance from the bank, police said. Oh, so they wrecked the vehicle! Despite efforts from officers and canines to search the area, they did not immediately find any suspects. Oh my Lanta. Let's unpack this real quick, shall we? So these two idiots decided they're going to steal an entire ATM machine for whatever reason. I guess they think that... I guess maybe you can extract money from the machine. Maybe. But they rig up this weird truck setup with some untold equipment and yank the thing from its position to wherever they wanted to take it, but their efforts caused a piece of the bank's drive-thru service area to be torn off, as well as they apparently could not manage the added weight of the ATM machine and ended up wrecking their vehicle not far away. Talk about a botched robbery. So you tore open the bank, right? You saw pictures there, guys, of the aftermath, right? It looked awful. It looked like a bunch of storm damage, but they accomplished nothing other than a lot of damage. And that's just Wow. So let's just take a peek. Just take a minute just to think about what could have yanked that thing off its chains. So an excavator is off the table, right? Well, I'm just trying to break down various forms of heavy equipment, but I highly doubt an excavator or anything of that sort was used, since it was pretty much confirmed that the main vehicle was a truck. So I guess what could have happened was they took maybe a sledgehammer would not have worked at all. So my best guess is that they took a jackhammer and tried to like drill the thing from its station and then chain it or put it in the back of their truck. Well, whatever they tried, it obviously didn't work. So now we just got a mess on our hands. The bank has to repair the broken machine and the broken piece of their equipment. And the thieves, they get nothing. Now, I'm not planning on robbing anything, but if I was ever going to take the entire machine, I wouldn't do it in that fashion. Right? And I wouldn't even try to take the machine. You know, if you can get money from the thing, the logical thing to do is just raid the machine itself, not trying to take it with you. Like, what's that gonna do? You have the machine, but what you gonna do with it? Take the money out of it? Okay, if you can do that, what you gonna do with it after you do it? Now you have a stolen ATM machine for no reason. You can't do anything with it afterwards. It's just added weight. And if, let's say, you have somebody over to your house and they go into your garage or whatever, wherever you're keeping this thing, and see an ATM machine just destroyed in the corner, what are they going to think? Especially if the reports about the situation have been released saying somebody stole an ATM. They'd see that there's an ATM in your house. You're like, did you steal that ATM? What? No. Why would you think that? Oh, no reason. Just the fact that you have an ATM in your garage for no reason. Like, what's your plan for the aftermath? Or are you going to plan on scrapping it? Well, you'd think that somebody, you'd have to be pretty secretive about it, but you'd think that somebody would notice, right? Somebody dropping an ATM off at the dump, right? And I mean, surely somebody filters through the garbage before it goes from dumpster to incinerator or whatever. So they'd see an ATM, because an ATM is a pretty noticeable structure, right? You're not just going to be able to sneakily hide that away with like garbage bags or something. I mean, and even if that was performed successfully, like you were able to cover it up, if it was being dumped and someone was paying attention, they'd say, what is that? Is that an ATM? You know? They'd see it. One way, shape, or form. Now, granted, they might not be able to exactly pinpoint that, oh, this specific individual left this ATM. But, you know, perhaps they had surveillance footage of you showing up that day. Or something along the lines of that. You know, my best guess is that they'd figure out somehow. You know, whether somebody sees it at your house, they do an investigation of potential suspects. And on top of that, the bank more than likely has surveillance footage, so they probably saw you. Right? They found the truck that stole the machine. So even if this was successful, and they didn't wreck everything, and they managed to successfully steal the machine, what's the plan for the aftermath? What are they going to do with it? And not get caught? Again, there's always an exception to every rule, but and maybe it's just my non-criminal brain, but I think that someone, somewhere along the line, would, you know, find out. Anyway, let's move on to the next article. What the? Alright, here's another one I found kind of funny. Swan rescued from enclosed graveyard in Britain. February 14th, UPI. Animal rescuers in Britain said they freed a young swan found trapped in an enclosed graveyard just a few months after the bird's father became trapped in the same area. What? The RSPCA said Inspector Nick de Celis responded to a report of a swan in distress in a cemetery in Neath, England on Valentine's Day. De Celis, Kellis, don't know how to pronounce your name, arrived to find the juvenile swan was trapped inside an enclosed graveyard. This poor young swan was disoriented after becoming trapped in a busy churchyard surrounded by a high fence and many graves, the rescuer said. Fortunately, the swan wasn't injured, and I was able to safely return the bird to a nearby canal, where he joined a sibling. How do you know it's a sibling? DeCellis said he was familiar with the swan's I'm sorry, I just find that kind of funny. DeCellis said he was familiar with the swan's family. Incredibly, I believe I rescued the swan's father last June after he had become trapped, reuniting him with this and many other cygnets as well as his mate. Okay, wow. So peace was apparently an option for this not goose. So this goose, right, apparently got itself trapped in an enclosed graveyard. Swan, not goose. I have geese on my mind now. The swan got trapped in a graveyard somehow. And maybe my idea of enclosed is a bit different. But what I'm picturing is like a graveyard with a fence around it. And can't swans fly? Swans can fly, I do believe. So there shouldn't be a thing in the world preventing this swan from, like, flying away, right? And I mean, okay, maybe the swan couldn't fly or was injured or something, but then again, the report said that there was no injury found. So, it was uninjured. It could have flown away, but it didn't for some reason. Unless the meaning of the word enclosed in this scenario isn't just a simple fenced-in area like cemeteries we have around here, but like a dome-type thing where it's almost inside a building. I'm kind of confused on that one. But they saved this swan, and apparently this dude did the same thing because swans have a strange habit of getting stuck in this enclosure. I could be wrong with the whole flying thing, but I do believe swans can fly. So unless this graveyard's in a dome, though, I still am struggling to see how it couldn't have just flown away. Rather than, remain inside this enclosure for a stretched out period of time. It doesn't seem that far of a stretch for the imagination to say, oh, the swan could have flown away. But no, it didn't, for whatever reason. Whatever. Next article. Lost mixtape washes up on beach 25 years later, and it still works. What? A woman has been reunited with a mixtape she lost on holiday after it washed up on a beach 25 years later, 1,200 miles from where she last saw it. Stella Weddle was 12 when she took the tape to listen to her favorite songs on her Walkman while in the Costa Brava in Mallorca in 1993. The cassette, featuring hits by artists such as Pet Shop Boys, Bob Marley, and Shaggy, went missing. But during a holiday to Stockholm last year, she was stunned to spot the mixtape, along with a list of the 20 songs she had recorded on it, on display at a photography exhibition. It had washed up on a beach in, I'm not even going to try that, in 2017 and was recovered by UK artist Mandy Baker. Barker sent the tape, Mandy Barker, not Baker, sorry. Barker sent the tape to a professional audio restorer who managed to listen to all the tracks and was included in her touring exhibition of Sea of Artifacts. When I was recording the track list, it seemed very familiar to me, Miss Whittle said. So I took a picture of it and compared it with the original CD from 1993, which I still have, and it was exactly the same track list, but starting with track 3. I remember I didn't like the first 2 songs on the CD because I felt like they were too old, so I wouldn't have included them when I recorded the mixtape age 12. I also have an association with the Jungle Book song, and this was always the 3rd track. I always made tapes from my CDs at this time to listen to them with my Walkman, especially for holidays. To think that a tape I could have lost more than 20 years ago had been found was incredible. Miss Weddle, who lives in Berlin, had been on holiday in the Costa Brava. Okay, we don't need... That's essentially another recap of the article, so let's break this down. So essentially, this person went on vacation, and while listening to her music on her Walkman, she lost her mixtape, and it floated across the entire bloody ocean, and then somebody found it and featured it in an exhibit based on weird things washed up. I think that's really cool, actually, and the fact that they were able to restore the songs and that you can still listen to the music recorded on that tape is a testament to the hard work of that restorer, and also to the technology we have available to us. The fact that it was 20 years old, and you can still restore the sound, and that it floated across basically the entire ocean. Wow. That's pretty crazy, and 2, pretty impressive. Now, I don't know about you, but this makes me want to, try something like this in real life. Although today, the idea of throwing stuff in the ocean isn't exactly as romantic as it used to be. Because in the past, it was the cool thing to do to send letters and bottles across the ocean. Or the cool thing to find would be old pirate bottles, right? But just bottles of letters and bottles from pirates left behind from many years, or from star-crossed lovers, or you name it. Just the crazy stuff you can find when looking through these old letters. But, today we have such an issue with pollution where, if I decided to bottle up a tape or something and then throw it in the ocean, I'd probably be fined a lot of money for polluting. Which is understandable, just kind of unfortunate that I can't, mess with that kind of thing anymore. Dang it, people. Always trying to ruin people's fun. But still, the fact that even though this wasn't intentional pollution or anything, the fact that it traveled so far and wound up somewhere else and was, again, able to be listened to is still really cool. I really like these type of stories where something travels an extra long distance and then the original owner ends up stumbling upon it. There's a lot of stories about animals that get lost and end up finding their way home after miles and miles of walking. But this is almost another level of somebody losing something overseas and then it literally sailing right back to them. Again, I just think that's really cool. But again, guys, I know tonight's topic wasn't exactly the most orthodox or the most serious, but I decided in light of a late Valentine's Day to do something a bit more goofy. To just take something off of our mind, to get our minds off of the insanity of 2020, and onto something a bit more lighthearted and funny. And I still think this stuff is cool. You know, let me know what you think. In the comment section down below, let me know your thoughts on these topics. And as always, though, with any Max of the Beast on the internet that uses articles, I will link to the articles in the description down below. So be sure to check the description for the links to the articles so you can read them for yourself. But anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video. And I'm sorry for not having this out as soon as I wanted it to, but this weekend's been pretty meh. But we're back in Beeswax, and I hope to get back into the regular feel of videos again, back with my regular tone of voice. Regular Maxusthebeast. Coming back soon. Just wanted to get this video out. Maybe get some laughs. And again, you can find the links to the original articles in the description down below. Anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, Maxusthebeast is out.